everywhere. We pray to the storm. We pray for this dangerous virus that are going around afflicting our people. God, we just pray for our country. And God, I hope that you bless every commissioner and their families. And just bless our little community and our adjacent communities. Everybody. We ask this in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
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 All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
United
America
States of America,
and to the republic
to
for
the
which it
republic
stands,
which stands
one
one
nation,
nation
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with
and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Number 3, you'll see additions, deletions, and modifications to the agenda. I don't think we have any. Announcements by the chair. We had the meeting yesterday online for the EOC, Emergency Operations Center. We're down to 3.3% for a weekly average for the COVID, which is a great number. I was looking through.
That is.
Yeah, we're in phase 3 at this point, as we all know. And I saw a statistic. I was looking through some other stuff, the stuff I usually look at. But there is nursing home, assisted living statistic is like 6,000 deaths we've had since the beginning. And that's out of a total in Florida of like 15,000. So there's a huge percentage of the overall number, a huge percentage. A statistic, my jaw dropped on the floor. I had no idea statistically that it was that high for those in assisted living facilities. And I think we probably all know somebody who's in one. That's all I have for announcements, recognitions, proclamations, and presentations. Do we have, oh, there's Benji. Mr. Bates from the Putnam County Chamber of the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce, the opportunity zones and so on. I'll let him introduce himself. Benji, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I do. If you're ready to begin, please introduce yourself and go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay, my name is Benji Bates, and I'm the Vice Chair of Emerging Opportunities with the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. And wanted to give you guys an update. I know we were in a few months ago, probably pre-COVID, and we were talking about opportunity zones and the Chamber's partnership with Madison Street. Due to COVID, we have not had our boots on the ground meeting to look at it, to really tour the community like we had planned. But I can report that we have in hand a draft of the prospectus for the 3 opportunity zones in Putnam County. Chamber staff has reviewed it. We had a conference call last week. We're moving forward with getting that finalized. And our kickoff date for finalization, and we'll invite you guys to this if you're interested, but on 10/29, the Small Business Development Center out of UNF, they're going to do a Zoom meeting about opportunity zones in our region. And Dana and Brian from the Chamber are getting lined up for that. And we're going to have our prospectus ready to kick off for 10/29. So that's our internal goal. I know it's a little bit delayed, but again, with COVID, we tried to, spread some things out with the uncertainty, but we are moving forward. Secondly, I know we talked about retail strategies. Retail strategies looked at available federal grant opportunities, and retail strategies has applied for a federal grant that will cover 8 different communities for the services they provide. And they chose Putnam as one of those communities. So that grant has been submitted, and we are just waiting to hear back on that grant process. But again, that's what Retail Strategies was doing on their own, and they chose to include that in the grant. So hopefully that grant is funded and goes through. And if it does, that means Putnam County will get Retail Strategies and all they offer to our community through a federal grant. At this time, that's all I have. Again, we'll be back out with a road, hopefully with a road show, we can see everybody soon, and
Right.
we'll kick off that formal prospectus. And I'll make sure you guys get an invite to the Small Business Development Center to their 1029 webinar on opportunity zones.
Benji, can you expand on, we talked about it, I think, at a chamber meeting, but about the strategy of getting name brand retailers into smaller areas that need some development?
Yes, I mean that was Retail Strategies. That's what they do. They go out and recruit for our community. If you remember, that had an annual cost of about $35,000. And with everything happening, we kind of slowed those talks down. But then Retail Strategies was also looking for additional funding. So like I said, they've applied for a $250,000 grant that would cover 8 communities, and Putnam would be one of them. So if that happens, then our community would not be looking at $35,000 cost for that. We would get it for, I don't have the exact number, but less than $5,000 for the community. So we decided to work with them. We had to get some information, some letters, but we did that. We submitted that to support that grant. So hopefully that grant's funded. And we'll let you guys know as soon as we know if it gets funding. And then if it's not, then we'll regroup and come up with a different strategy to implement that program at a later date.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Bates?
Thank you, Benji.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Bates.
Thank you so much.
I have a question or two.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Mr. Bates, thank you very much. I have a question about what exactly goes into the prospectus. Is that like a sales document that you use to recruit someone for an opportunity? I mean, what exactly is the prospectus that you're formulating?
Okay, no, it's an overview of Putnam County, and then we go into detail for the 3 opportunity zones. So in Crescent City, it will highlight the land area. It will talk about what businesses are down there. It talks about the top 10 employers by region in the county, but it is a sales presentation for our community. And because there's 3 opportunity zones, so it goes into detail about the size, the number of jobs, talks a little bit about income, wages, and just what opportunities are in those opportunity zones.
Right. So typically, I mean, for example, the South Putnam Opportunity Zone, as I understand it, is all of zip code 32112. Is that correct?
I'd have to get a map. I don't have that in front of me, but I can send you the map. But I know it's a large area, but right. I'm not sure. I don't know the zip code.
I don't think it's that big, but it does include all of Crescent City.
Right. It includes all of Crescent City. I think it excludes Lake Como. And then it goes down to the South County line. So it does include all of Crescent City. And one question that I had is, like, for example, our CRA has a definite plan for our downtown area, which is supposed to be a historic downtown area. When you write the prospectus, I mean, have you looked at our CRA plan and our marketing study that we have?
I have not personally, but I can't speak for Madison Street and the chamber. If that information was not submitted to the chamber, then please, if you can get it to us, we can include that information. But I know that the chamber provided a lot of that similar information to Madison Street in the formulation of this.
Okay, so basically the people who live in an area are not involved in the drafting of the marketing prospectus. They just kind of get marketed in whatever way the chamber chooses to market them.
We hired an outside firm, Madison Street, to put this together and provided them with information from the 3 opportunity zones. And once that final prospectus is complete, we will do a road show to all the counties and cities, present that. We'll let you guys review it. If you have input and changes, we'll take that but I mean, it's a working document that was put together by the professionals at Madison Street.
Okay, but that was the key part, and thank you for speaking to the roadshow, because that was my next question. So essentially, when you say roadshow, that's not bringing in your opportunities yet. That's giving the local communities an opportunity to comment on the prospectus.
100%. That's the first goal, is to get it ready, to bring it to you guys for, basically, hopefully we can do a presentation. We want to send it to you guys ahead of time to review. We'll go through it, answer questions. And if there's changes that need to be made, we'll make those changes, get it back, and then we'll have a final document to send out. So yes, ma'am, you will be involved. We're not just going to get it done and send it out. We're going to get it done and show Putnam County, and then we're going to send it out.
Okay, that really helps, because for me and all the people at home, we might not understand what roadshow means. So that's very, very helpful.
I'll check with Dana Jones with the chamber. If she doesn't have those documents, we can provide those. All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much, Benji.
All right. Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. We do have a recognition coming up. And do you have something there, Michael, to put on the screen?
Deb's going to put that on the screen.
Okay.
Just give her a second.
There you go. I think we all know Lisa and Steve Dempsey, and what a job they have done for the between the police department and the city hall, as far as plantings and so on in the past couple of years. Whenever I come to City Hall, it seems like they're out there sweating and watering and maintaining and trimming. And I know we have a lot of volunteers that work various things within the city, and we appreciate every one of them. And but I wanted to give a special recognition at this time to Steve and Lisa for doing so much for the city. It wasn't that long ago, a couple years ago, the front of City Hall and particularly the police department was really overgrown and not maintained. So they stepped in and kind of took that over and carried the ball on that. So we
They have it
recognize
looking
them.
so pretty.
They do. They do.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it
so
is.
nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Good job, Mayor.
They do an incredible job, and I got to tell you that I speak with pride when I tell people that we have this couple and the amazing job that they do. And actually, some of the other municipalities might be jealous when I tell them that we have somebody that takes such loving care about an area that people just drive by and I kind of take for granted. So I thank them, every day, every time I see them.
Deb, do you have a picture of the plaque itself, the front? If you don't, that's fine. But that's the main picture. Okay. So they also got a little certificate. I gave them a little certificate for 3 bananas because they like to go down there and eat. So anyway, thank you, Steve and Lisa. All right, moving on. We've got public comments. Do we have, Deb, do we have any public comments at this time?
We do have public comments. She should be, okay.
Michael, did you want this public comment now or when it's pertaining to the conversation?
Whatever it's pertaining to the conversation, we can talk about them now. You can talk about it now. You can read it.
Okay. All right. We do have one public comment from a Brandy, and I'm sorry if I say this wrong, Huskins. The public comment via email reads, the South Putnam Pop Warner Association is a local organization of Crescent City that seeks to help young people benefit from participation in team sports and activities in a structured environment. We have about 50 children aged 5 to approximately 13 that we are working to teach fundamental values, skills, and knowledge that they will use throughout their lives. Our participants need this guidance and gain considerably from being involved in our organization. We use the Harry Banks Field for football practice for 6 or more hours per week, usually between 6 and 8 p.m. It is already getting dark earlier and earlier, and we are in need of use of the lights. A solicitation to bid was put out by the city to replace the light fixtures, control box, and have a long warranty, but was rejected due to expense. Our understanding is that there is some funding for the lights, but not enough to cover the full request sought by the city. In an attempt to reduce costs but still allow our kids a safe and well-lit field to play on, we request that an attempt be made to simply replace the light bulbs. We are able to turn them on and see that they work, but they flicker and do not produce a bright light. Secondly, we are requesting that we are given a key to the bathroom so that we may open them during practice. We agree to take responsibility to clean them after each use and keep them secured after practice. Lastly, we are asking that the letter sent to the city and city manager on 9/16/2020 be distributed to all commissioners. Thank you for taking the time to consider this very important need for our future members of the Crescent City community. To recap, the 3 items we would like considered are lights and bulb replacement at Harry Banks Field, use of the restrooms for practice, and letter for funding be reviewed. Thank you, Brandy Huskins, Team Mom. That concludes the submission.
What was that last of the 3 items?
A letter for funding be reviewed.
Okay.
Lights, use of bathroom.
And letter. Okay.
They sent a letter. I think Michael has it. I saw a copy somewhere. It might have been on social media. But they sent a letter. It was addressed to the city. And it didn't specifically say commissioners, but it did say to the city.
Well, it said city manager. It said city commission, city manager. It was a funding request for a donation for their equipment. And the letter was stated from an individual, Lee Dandridge, who we've talked about before, representing South Putnam,
Warner.
Pop Warner. I have a permit from her for South Putnam, Pop Warner. My understanding is they've switched leagues. We had a question about, were they still under Pop Warner? Are they still under South Putnam Athletic Association? I needed updated insurance form, things like that. So there was some question about that. I don't think we should be in the business of just writing checks to people. I don't even know if she's still associated. So I spoke with Ms. Heiskins this afternoon. We did discuss the issue. This is the first time I spoke with her. And we discussed all of those items. One of the things with the bulb replacement was that we have tried that in the past. That has not been a long-term solution. The bulbs are expensive. She has acknowledged that. When trying to solicit to get new lights, that would be a long-term, more feasible solution than just keep changing light bulbs that they've done in the past. They stay on, they're on for maybe a year, and then they go out. The bulbs right now come on, and then they go off and they flicker. Someone also cut the lot and was putting the lights on and off in that box, which is kind of a little disturbing, considering it's the voltage that's there. People shouldn't be monkeying except for the city, but no city employees had opened that box. So we've resecured that as we speak. So,
Mayor, I have a couple of questions, or should this be discussed on a different part of the agenda, or do we discuss it now?
It's not on the agenda.
Right.
If you want to save that for your commission comments.
Well, I mean,
we've already talked about this. I don't know if there's any more to add.
Well, actually, I do have, I have a little more information. I had talked to Ms. Huskins earlier, and I asked her specifically about their 501c3 status, because Michael had a concern that they had switched leagues, but it is my understanding that they are the same 501c3 organization that they have always been. The name on the letter is the name that corresponds to their 501c3 designation from the IRS and their tax ID number, and that it is not really relevant what league they're playing under. The Pop Warner League apparently didn't have enough teams, so they're playing under a different league, but that doesn't change their nonprofit status. I would like to see the donation letter. It came to all of us. And I don't know, I don't understand why they can't have a key to the bathrooms. I think we gave them a permit. If we have all those kids out there at the field, it would seem like they
Well,
should have access to the bathroom.
we gave them a permit, and the permit was from a certain date, and we were asked that we were supposed to be provided a schedule of that. We only got a schedule for June and July. I've been asking to get another schedule for August, September, October, November. The key to the bathroom, we've had issues with the bathroom, people breaking in the bathroom.
There is a porta pot out there too.
The porta potty out there so.
Well, but I mean, porta potties don't
Yeah.
have hand washing, and especially during COVID, it would be good to have it for hand washing. If they're going to lock it up, I don't see the problem. I mean, I understand we don't want vandalism, which we've had before, but if they're going to guarantee to lock it up, to me, it's very important that the children have access, to a decent bathroom with a sink.
I agree with that. I think that we need to let them be able to use the bathroom. If we don't give them a key, open it up and they lock it up and we'll check it afterwards.
Well, didn't we have the Little League allocating them so much money a year in our budget? What happened to that? We just stopped doing that? Or
That
what?
must have been before my time.
We had the Little League was getting some money. I think, matter of fact, I think it was before your time, Mayor.
At least something is.
Yeah, we had them. But
I think it kind
but
of fell
look,
apart and we stopped giving the money then.
But-
At that time, it was part of our donation to the community, like we give to the library and we
Right.
gave to the Little League
Right.
years ago. But then it
but-
kind of fell on bad times and we stopped giving them.
well, let me say this, if I can, please.
Yes, go ahead, please.
They do have control of the kids. I be out there, and keeping the kids off the street. I think the person over that is got to have a very challenging job, and the workers that work with us. I don't see why we can't support them. We put money everywhere else, and they're not asking for a whole lot.
Well,
Now I know the bathroom situation, but I think that is workable. I really think we can do something to so they'll be able to use the bathroom to close it back. But the porta potty, I really don't like to even talk about those filthy things because they're very nasty, and even after they're used a couple of times, they're very unsanitary. And with COVID-19, I don't think we should even have none out there. To be talking frankly to you.
I gotta
ridiculous.
agree with you, they are bad.
Yeah,
Right.
they're bad.
But Commissioner Banks, I agree, because there's too many children and some of them are quite little children, and I
Yes,
do not want to see them going in a port. There's just too many kids
yes.
for that thing.
And I think we put the bathrooms out there for people to use them, not to be locked out. I know they vandalize them, and not only in Crescent City here, in other cities, municipalities too, they vandalize bathrooms, but they still don't lock them up. They put up some kind of rules or something to try to avoid that. Have we even discussed about some kind of way that we can avoid it by letting them use it and cutting it off after it's pick the person that it seemed to be over it and bring her in and discuss with her? Michael, have that been done?
I've just spoken to this. She's a teen mom. I've spoken to Lee Dandridge about that before.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about it. Yes.
But I really think we need to brainstorm that and come up with some kind of idea, because those are, well, I don't want to say our kids, because all mine are grown, but I got some grandkids out there and I'm concerned about it. Very much concerned about it.
We will work on that.
The number one, they're keeping them from roaming the streets, which is a good idea, and so many other things.
Well, there's so
Okay.
little around here for our children to get involved in, and I think it's important to support that. The bathroom situation, I'd like to see them be able to use it. The lights are a problem with us being able to afford it, but maybe we can find a way. I just don't know. That is a big problem. And
Commissioner,
as
we,
the days get shorter,
right, and we talked about this, we kept the money, you know, we have the budget, we have the money, we're gonna look at it. It just wasn't feasible to get it done by the time they're into their season. I've talked to them about going to the county, which I talked to Ms. Huskins, and, you know, she said that's on the table to discuss that with the county, so.
right?
Cause if I could speak again, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Due to that rung a bell when you said county, Michael, because I know I used to be involved with the not the volleyball, the soccer, and we had as high as 224 people out there. They wouldn't be all out there at one time, but we well over 100 and some people at one time, and they didn't have but one bathroom, a his and a hers, and they seemed to maintain. So I really think we need to open the bathrooms up to them and figure out some kind of way that we can control with a key.
Well, we will work on that.
Okay, please do.
Okay.
Mayor, if I could,
Go ahead.
about the bathrooms, I mean, their season is current. They are practicing. This is their season. So to me, they need the bathrooms now, not in a couple weeks. And as well, I don't remember, I know this was discussed a long time ago, but just to replace the bulbs, Michael, what actual cost would that be? What ballpark are we talking about to replace?
We're talking hundreds of dollars for the bulbs.
Hundreds of dollars?
Yes, hundreds of dollars. And they're older bulbs and they're
Okay.
hard to get. So once again, I talked with Brandy about this, Ms. Huskins. She acknowledged that there is a cost value. And then we don't know if it's just the bulbs are an issue, maybe the ballasts are an issue, the apparatus that you plug the bulbs into. So that's where the thinking was that you put it out for bid.
Well, how
To get LEDs, low voltage, because here's another issue. You talk about getting access to the bathroom. Somebody cut the lock and turned the lights on. Well, I had reports that they were on all day, all night. Somebody's turning the lights on, but they weren't exactly turning them off.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's another issue where you give access to the bathroom with a key and maybe it's not locked and then it gets, it'll get vandalized. I don't know. So we'll look at that. Like I said, it won't take weeks.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor,
right. Yes, ma'am.
here's another issue.
Okay.
With those old bulbs, it's going to cost quite a bit to run them.
Yes.
And that's one reason we wanted the new LED light bulbs, because they're very, very little to run.
Yes.
So that's an issue. If it were just a couple hours a week, maybe we could do it, but I don't know. They're very expensive to run.
I don't like. I'm one mayor. I don't like to throw money.
Well,
throw money
you know,
away.
and I don't know what this new organization is, but they had the Pop Warner one. And you're talking about throwing tens of thousands of dollars at new lights just for practice, for a couple of months. And then you have a league, which I'm not that familiar. I'd love to hear some more about it, but it sounded like they had no equipment at all, no pads, no helmets, no shoes, no uniforms, nothing. So, you know, we can't run a football team.
But
They have been
we
playing
can
now,
help,
my understanding. They've been
Mayor-
playing games. Their season started, is my understanding.
yes, because they going all over playing. They're going to Oak Keller and different places like that. They already
right?
in full gear. Oh, they're not like D-Land or a Palacker, what got 5 or 6 teams, then they travel all over on the different leagues. They had to get in about the league that's closer to them that they can participate.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding. But then again, those our young people, so we need to do whatever we can do to support them.
Right.
Yes. And
Okay.
And now I don't see why. I don't see why now. If my understanding, I was intent to go out there and ask somebody. Interlocking, they got a facility just like we have out there, and it shouldn't just be controlled by one sport. If you're gonna have soccer out there, they ought to be able to play football in a certain area of it too.
Well, sure.
And I don't know whether that's been looked into or what.
Well,
I
But that,
think, I
as you
think
know, they had a football field there at one time.
she
yes.
said that it was already booked with soccer for the rest of this season.
Well, you have,
But I'm like you, there are 2 or 3 fields out there.
well, the old
And
field, is that
maybe
usable at all? The old field? I mean, I still see the lime marks from, I don't know how long ago. I think Marcus Hardy used to play football there back in the day. I think he told me. But you can still see where the lime was laid out on the 5-yard marks. And I don't know if that has been covered up partially by the playground or there's still enough of a 100-yard field left to
Well,
have. But
and Mayor, you know, we could go on with this all night, but on the very south end where the football used to be set up, there's no lights. I reckon the price where they judge from, so they moved. They put lights in the soccer fields, or they moved soccer over there.
right.
So, now the football field is still down there, but there's no lights at night.
Right.
Yeah, they're on the soccer side, I call it, but they play
Okay.
soccer all over it.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure if she can come back and Michael can maybe talk to the county commissioner of Zone 1. At least I'll put that on my shoulder. I'll go talk to Bill about it and do whatever I need to do. If I have to, I'd be glad to do it.
You know who might also know something or know somebody to refer you to? It's Terrell Hill. He's big in softball, huge. And he may, know somebody who knows about the football side of it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give him a call.
Okay. All right. Ready to close that out. We have a consent agenda, City Commission meeting minutes of
Wait,
September.
are we done with public comment, Deb?
Yes, we are.
We don't have, didn't we have another public comment?
No, sir.
Okay.
City Commission meetings, minutes of September 10th, the regular September meeting, and also the City Commission budget minutes of September 24th, where we had the second reading. This is a consent agenda. Is there any objection? And the minutes are approved. All right. General business. Michael?
We don't have any agenda. All we have is a hearing,
Okay.
public hearing.
You want to go on to the ordinance?
Yes.
All
We'll go
right.
into the ordinance. You want to read the ordinance?
Okay, so those following along, public hearing, ordinance number 20-04. This is a first reading, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Crescent City, Florida, relating to code enforcement by the city, providing for legislative findings, intent, providing for a short title, providing for code enforcement proceedings and procedures relating to the codes and the ordinances of the city, providing for a special magistrate, code enforcement process, providing for definitions, providing for jurisdictions and related matters pertaining to code enforcement, providing for a repeal ordinance of 03-005 as codified in section 2-62 through 2-72 of the Code of Ordinances, providing for codification of the ordinances in chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances, section 2-62 through 2-74, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and an effective date. Michael, do you have any analysis?
Well, analysis is, I spoke with the county about this. We had talked about it at a previous meeting. The county really likes the magistrate system. I got right before the meeting some information on, because I know the big question about doing a magistrate is how much does it cost? Their contract with the magistrate right now is $450 when they bring them in for the month. So when I talked about it, I sent it to Jay. We really didn't get a chance to talk too in depth about it. It sounds like something reasonable. They also have in there, if they make every effort to available, they'll be available for special meetings too. So I know that was a concern if we wanted to go to a format that was every quarter to try to handle code enforcement.
Okay. And they do it on a monthly basis. And we were talking about doing it on a quarterly basis, which that's the info you got, but I guess you need to maybe clarify that, or do you think it's going to?
No, they're on a monthly basis. That's what they pay. So they have $450. That's for the month, which covers the regular scheduled monthly hearing in all matters, including the preparation of orders. So,
okay. So I'm doing a little math here. Someone correct me. $5,400 a year.
Ballpark 5,400.
Yep.
Which is not in our budget.
well,
Where would that come from?
500 you're talking about every quarter, every 4 months?
No. You said $450 a month.
Yeah, that
Yes,
right.
yes.
But
Go for
we're
the
not
month.
talking about,
If we're
you're talking
gonna
about
do
doing every
quarterly,
month or every other month, every quarter. I mean, excuse me.
That would be
every 3
$450.
months.
Okay, so that'd be
You're
every
talking
quarter.
about $1,800 a year instead of the 54.
Okay. That's better. And we do have that in the budget. Is that correct?
Yes, and it's something we talked about having on the Jay's
Yep.
budget.
Okay.
Jay, do you want to? I know you haven't had a long time to look at those. I think you need to mute your your
Unmute.
or audio.
That lower right hand. There you go.
Yeah, got you. How about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The cost involved is going to be centered around how active our code enforcement person or people are. If we have 10 cases a month, the cost may be higher. If we have 2 cases a month, it will be lower. My understanding of what's going on in Interlaken and the county is, I happen to know the fellow from St. Augustine that has been doing the special magistrate job for the county, and in turn Interlaken, because Interlaken has an interlocal agreement with the county to do their code enforcement and their inspections and to present the magistrate. So Interlaken's fees are with the county, and this may be something that you might want Michael to explore further, to see if the county would work with us on an interlocal agreement and them take over code enforcement or a portion thereof. And I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just telling you the possibilities. Interlaken pays to the county $50 per case as an administrative fee, $35 per case for any inspection necessary on the case, and $35 per case for the special magistrate. So they have a deal with the county, which probably the county would work with us in some fashion. Now, the county, as Michael said, is $450 a month. But let me give you my take on this. This is not public knowledge. Well, it will be now, but it's my understanding that the special magistrate who has been serving the county for some time is maybe in the process of not doing it anymore. The contract that Michael sent me was from sometime in 2017, and it expired the same month in 2018, but it provides that it will be a self-renewable contract. So apparently the magistrate has been working since 2018 on the renewal part. So either party I saw could back out of the thing with, I believe it was 60 days notice. It wouldn't be a job that people would just line up and fight over, because a couple $100 a month, don't know if I would want to drive over to Crescent City from St. Augustine. So maybe our best bet would be for Michael to explore the possibility of working something out with the county where we could pony up with them, because it sure looks like they are giving Interlaken a pretty good deal. That's just my suggestion. I know Miss DeVito, and I don't want to talk while she's there. She is.
I'm trying to get a pen. Thank you, Jay.
I know Miss DeVito, Commissioner DeVito, indicated it was not in the budget. But if I could just say one thing, and it's not meant to be political or anything, it's just I am totally getting confused on the city's money stance. About 5 years ago, when Ms. Scholes was sitting on the commission, she felt that we could not afford to give the Little League, and I believe it was $300 was the request, that the city couldn't afford that. And the commissioners at the time that were sitting with her apparently agreed, because we did not fund that request. And then in the last 6 months, the city agrees to maybe look at a $75,000 lighting system, because a person comes and makes a request. And I'm not saying it's not a valid request, but I've been begging the city to please look at codification of our ordinances.
Yep.
That it's almost necessary to operate.
Okay, but
And now we're looking at the potential for going to a special magistrate and wondering where $4,000 or $5,000 may come from. I am totally confused.
okay, Mayor, could I address that, please, since Jay kind of brought me into this?
Go ahead.
First of all, we are talking about two completely different budget entities when we're talking about lighting the Little League field. There's no motion on the table to fund the football organization. The lighting system at Harry Banks Park would come from Better Place Plan money and is specifically for those kind of capital improvements. The issue of funding for a magistrate to do our code work comes out of our regular budget, which we have pretty well committed right now. And as well, that will be, if we eliminate the code board and go to the magistrate system, then we are getting ourselves into a permanent situation. So I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but it is our responsibility as a city commission to make sure that we fully understand the cost of any change that we make, like this one that is going to be permanently ongoing. We've already invested in the ordinance, and I have two concerns. I think that we are making progress on this idea of a special master for code enforcement. But really, I saw on the agenda that there would be a staff analysis. If we're making a change like this, the cost figures, I think, should be in writing, not just talked about, because when things are just talked about, then 6 months or a year from now, if you look back and want to know how we reached that conclusion or what basis we made it on, it should be in writing. And when I understood from Michael that we didn't have anything yet, I Googled it, and most cities that make a change like that, here's a document. This is from one city. It's a comparison side by side. There are dollar figures. Lots of cities do these things. So I just think it's our responsibility to have those figures in writing. We've heard it, but I think they need to be added up and on paper. And then the other hand, the second component of this that I think we need, we're in a different situation right now because we're in a Zoom meeting. People can't come and let us hear from them. And frankly, I heard from one member of the public, not anybody I'm particularly friends with or anything, but I got one comment about it. There might be others. I just think we need to give people a chance to be heard, and we don't really have the ability. So to me, figures in writing and make sure that we have a way to hear from the public about this.
Mayor, may I comment?
Go ahead, Judy.
Why do we want to do a magistrate? Is our board not working well? Has something happened? Why are we wanting to move in that direction? I'm looking at this cost and I'm not happy.
Well, we have talked about this before we ever got this far, and we kind of agreed to.
Yes, I know, but I never have heard that the board was not working well. I think we still need to discuss this some more before we enter into this. Once you get rid of that board, I don't know that we'll come back to it ever if we end up spending that money. I'm concerned about it.
Could I interrupt for just a minute?
Yes, sir, Mr. Asbury.
Just an observation. To speak to Mr. DeVito's point about in writing, unless Michael is Houdini, I don't know how he comes up with solid figures in writing unless someone tells him how many cases, how many times a month. You know, he can come up with some writing about some guesstimates, but he will not know. The city probably won't know for sure until we're a year into this thing to find out, to feel our way along. And now, to answer Ms. DeVito and Commissioner West on, once we go into something, we may be locked in. It'll be as simple as passing another ordinance to go back to the way it was. And I frankly don't care it doesn't matter to me how we proceed with code enforcement. It's whatever y'all think is the best way. But that business about getting locked into something forever or for a long time is not accurate.
All right, does the board not do a good job? Can somebody answer that?
I cannot answer that. I have no opinion on what they do. I talk to Pam from time to time about her cases. She calls me and inquires about a case now and then, but I don't have anything for or against the board. I think they've done an admirable job as far as serving without any pay. But beyond that, I couldn't help you on good job, bad job.
I think when you combined the codification with the magistrate, I think we have more of a professional, fair, impartial look at cases. And, you can't do better than being fair. And I think some of the items I've seen that we've had in front of our board have been kind of arbitrary. How come this is this much? How come this one is less or more? And I think somebody who's a professional in the field can look at that and maybe make better judgments with that with more clarity than we can provide. Or the board could.
So what you're saying is it'll be a little more fair rather than having citizens deal with the codes.
I think it's taking it to the next level of professionalism. Not that they haven't done a good job. I think they've done a great job. And all the people that volunteer for our boards and retirement boards and so on, we really, really appreciate. But I think we're at a point where we're getting a little bit more money here in the city, and I think we can look at investing in being a little bit fairer. And it's not only individual homeowners, but I mean it's businesses and so on, that we provide a professional front as a city government.
Let me ask you, Mayor,
Yes, sir, Commissioner.
We still gonna have to have a code enforcement board, aren't we? Even if we get the special majesty, he just gonna be kind of like the judge.
He would be the judge, and correct me if I'm wrong. We would still have code enforcement, like Pam or the police department or what have you, and then those cases would be brought before the magistrate. So that would replace the magistrate would replace the board as we know it now.
Okay, but let me ask you this: who is the judge now? Aren't the commissioner the judge now?
It can be appealed to. Well, I think it can be appealed to the commission, but the board, the citizen board, is the judge basically. And I suppose no, sir.
Excuse me, but
Yes, sir.
I think the way to look at this, if we're talking about judge and final authority in our present system, the code board is the first line of decision making.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is aggrieved or offended by that decision, they can go to the city commission.
Right.
Under the magistrate form, that is a final decision unless something is so out of whack you want to go to circuit court. My personal experience, to try to help you answer the biggest difference between a local code board and a magistrate, is my personal experience with a magistrate is it seems to be much more efficient. That's what he or she does, is make decisions. It's not based on who our friends are, or whether we know them or not, or whether they live in Crescent City or from out of town. None of that to a magistrate matters. He just goes by the law or the ordinances and makes a decision, and that's the end of that.
Okay, Mayor, if I could jump in for a minute.
Go ahead.
I voted that we should look into this. I think it has a lot of promise. I think that our city attorney makes a lot of good points when he says it's, and you as well, when he says it's more professional. But again, we are just learning about this. We keep asking questions. I think it's very important that the public get an opportunity to ask those same questions. And I think it's reasonable for us to have a workshop where we could let people come and ask those questions so that they would be comfortable with it. And also we could discuss the cost. I mean, it is very customary and it is not too hard to do. I'm sure that Michael and Pam know, and our code meeting, there are records of how many meetings we've had in the past. And what a workshop does is the devil's in the details. We're just speculating right now that we could, do this once every quarter. I asked Michael, what if a case it has to be continued because someone's ill or blah, blah, blah. That would put a case that you send to the code enforcement officer going 6 months. So to me, really before we start voting on this, I think it would be a great idea to have a workshop and get some of these questions out on the table.
Mayor, may I comment, please?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
I agree with this because I'd rather just, let's talk about it November, December, and look at a serious vote in January, perhaps. Not maybe specific to that, but let's talk about it some more before we get ourselves in something we don't know much about, and we end up with something that maybe doesn't fit our city.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
May I
Yes.
speak too?
You're recognized. Go ahead.
Commissioner Vito got a good idea. I think we need to wait a little longer. Hopefully we come out from under this COVID-19 spell that we under now, that we can have an open meeting so our citizens can come and voice their opinion about it. Because we really need citizens' input on something like this. We really does. And I think that would be very helpful for us to have when our citizens get back, so they can come and we have a workshop and discuss this. It's not nothing we don't went this far without a change, so we can go a little further.
Well, I tell you what, we are going to be meeting in person next month, December, or I'm sorry, November.
November.
And we can have a workshop at 5 o'clock and the public is invited. Does that work for everybody?
Good for me.
It's good for me. Do
That
you
would be
think,
okay.
do you think we can do it within an hour, Mayor?
I think so.
Well, it's good with me.
Okay.
I'm retired like you. So. It don't make a whole lot of difference.
Okay. All right. We don't have a motion, so
I make a motion that we table it.
I'll second.
Would that be appropriate to table it?
table it till next month, or our next meeting, put it on the agenda. We got that, Deb?
Yes, sir. I did want to take this opportunity, since we're talking about next month's schedule, to remind everyone that because we have an election this year,
Yes.
our November meeting will be on Monday, November 9th.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
So our workshop would be on that Monday, November 9th at 5 o'clock. If that still works for everybody.
All right with me.
Okay.
I want a thermometer and I want people's temperature checked as they come in the door.
Well, we should talk about that. We should talk about the meeting.
Right.
Yeah, you can't say, well, I mean, you can. And I was planning that we would have a public meeting tonight because the public deserves to have more input than they've had under these circumstances. And we're at a point right now where we're down to, I don't know, February, March or something, whatever it might have been. I don't know what our rate is. Best it's been in a long, long time. And I don't know if we have to wait until it's 0 plus a month or what, but I think we need to get to it and whatever precautions we need to take, but actually have public meetings with precautions.
Right. Mayor, if I could kind of speak to that. Usually we have our workshops right before the meeting with COVID because, now the CDC says droplets spread through the air. We might, I don't know how to do this because the meeting is on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are we talking about having the workshop and then having this ordinance? I mean,
Yes.
Okay, because ideally, you would want to, with COVID, it's still here. The report we got today, we just had 2 deaths and 12 more cases. A 53-year-old person and an 80-something-year-old person are deaths of the day. Ideally, we would, for safety's sake, have a workshop and the meeting on a different day so that we're not all spending, maybe 2.5 hours in the meeting as opposed to 1.5 hours. It would be good to spread those out, so that we get a break from the room and the room airs out from everyone. That's just how it works. So,
Mayor,
Yes, sir. Yes, Commissioner.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Vito, you through?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. Mayor, Your Honor, what do I think we have a county, a lady of the county, Gus, is I'm saying this right, her word, pronouncing her name right. She kind of forward us information about the meeting, about coming back out and having meetings.
Oh, Mary Garcia.
Yeah, Garcia.
Yes.
Yeah, cause now when we look at the Putnam County Chamber, they is kind of spread out, and they don't have so many people in, so they got social distancing. But I don't know whether we're going to be able to do that for the commission, because we all up there in front, and I don't think we can get far enough from each other.
Well, we could wear a mask, right?
Well,
Yes, and I've already suggested, after you'll have somebody new sitting in a vacant seat, but I was going to say move me way over to the right of Lisa, but you're still going to have a full commission on the 9th. So that
We're
We
gonna,
are jammed, we are jammed up there and I just don't like it.
well, we're gonna work on the logistics of where everybody can be. Again, the issue is we can space everybody out, the commissioners, enough to give them distance on the dais right there at the big table. We're just gonna work on Jay and I and where we need to be, if we need to be on the microphone. And we'll space
All right.
out, we'll move seats, we'll do what we need to do. We'll take temperatures. I've discussed this with everybody. And we'll take it from there.
Yeah, because the public has been locked out for a long time now, 6-7 months. How long has it been? It seems that way anyway.
We'll make that happen. We'll make
Okay.
that-
All right. Okay. I'm not sure if we need to vote to table this. But I think did we have a motion in a second?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
I made the motion.
Okay.
And I second it.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So let's move on to additional reports and comments. Michael, you're first up.
Okay, going along with COVID, let's start with what every other municipality is wrestling with. Halloween, holiday festivities coming up. I'm looking for your guidance on what we can do as far as Halloween. I guess in Putnam County, and specifically Crescent City, you've designated Halloween night, and you've said between these two times they'd have trick or treating, and we would provide law enforcement and things like that. Are we still going to have that, or any kind of other Halloween festivities that are? People ask if they want to be in the public parks, things like that.
I want to comment.
Go ahead,
Please.
Commissioner.
I would like to halt children going from house to house to house. If they need a party or whatever, do it at their home and parents can plan that. But I just don't like the logistics of little children talking to people and getting close enough to get candy and whatever this year. And a year from now, next October, it'll be totally different. Things we'll have probably a vaccine and et cetera, et cetera. I just that bothers me having to have trick or treat from house to house this year. I'd like that to just not be.
If you don't want to participate, you can just turn the front porch lights off too.
Yeah.
Well, you do that anyway, but I don't know. I just don't like it.
Commissioner DeVito.
Yes. Well, I share Judy's concerns about children going house to house, but I've been on social media and the word is that the trunk or treat event is canceled. People who live on South and North Prospect, according to many discussions, are planning to have trick or treat. And I think maybe Jay can speak to this if I don't get it right. I don't think we can actively prohibit them, particularly because we're in phase 3. So my feeling is, I think that social distancing is more achievable going house to house. We can't prohibit them anyway. And I think it would bring some semblance of order if we just set the hours from 6 to 8 and as well encourage people to do it in a very socially distanced manner. But that sets the time. And then as far as the parks, I don't know what phase 3 exactly means, but I mean, the kids use parks anyway. Everybody's in them.
Yeah.
But they're closed at dark.
Right. The parks are closed at dark and it's a separate issue. Personally, I would not be in favor of giving out any park permits for Halloween. I would rather see people stay in their family cars or walking in family groups. If we're allowed to give out candy at the church again, and I don't know if we will be, we have envisioned tossing little pre-done bags of candy, but I don't know, Commissioner West, I don't think we can prohibit people, and I would just rather see us set those hours and put some language in there about please, keep apart, wear your mask, that kind of thing.
Is that a motion?
That's
No, I like to talk on that. I like to discuss on that too. Well,
Commissioner Banks.
yes, sir, man. In the past, we've been, our city manager been getting with the other cities I don't know whether the chief was the one doing it or the city manager doing, see what the other municipalities around us are doing. So we all be on the same court, and we try to schedule it all on the same day, same night, rather. It's gonna be on a Friday night or a Saturday night. All the cities in a close area will schedule for that Saturday night to keep people from leaving Crescent City, going to Pomona, leaving Pomona, going to Lake Como, and right on. So I don't know how y'all feel about
Halloween
that.
is on Saturday.
It's on Saturday.
That looks Saturday the 31st. So that looks like a good evening.
Yeah.
And you're probably right. So you're not going to stop them from trick or treating.
Right. No, they're not going. People are going to be out there. And I don't know whether we can, since Phase 3, just like Commissioner Vito said, then open back up. I don't think we can legally do it.
Well, maybe we can just put out and just say there's no trunk or treat at Winn-Dixie this year, and that we're advocating for safe distancing and mask.
Yeah, put something like that in the newspaper. Get our newspaper to print it, and like a daily news.
So is the motion to approve it for Saturday, the 31st, between 6 and 8 p.m.?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Masks. I think, Judy, is that your motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because I would love to second it.
Hey, you broke up a little bit again. Please state your motion again.
Okay, well, it was Judy's motion.
That we allow trick or treating October 31st, Saturday, October 31st, between 6 and 8, with wearing masks and social distancing.
Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right.
Okay.
City manager, you still got, Michael, you still got more?
I still got more stuff. I'll save the big one to the end. We'll go to talk about Central Avenue repaving project. We put out for construction estimate, engineering and inspection services. We received 2 bids. We just received them. I still need to review them and then make a recommendation to the board to get it approved. So you'll see that on the next agenda. Next is the demo building on Cypress Avenue. If you've gone by there, you see it's down. It's still got the safety fencing there. The contractor's just waiting for the fencing contractor to come. As soon as that's done, they will pull out and we will be done with that project. So I know
It
that's
looks like they've done a good job, Mike.
good. It was a great company. They actually did the demo for us for the buildings over across the street, and they were great. They were really good to work with. So.
Okay.
It looks nice.
It does.
Yes, it really does.
Colbert Water. We talked about, we have the meter in, we have the fountain. We're just waiting for Public Works. They're going to set the concrete to set the fountain. As soon as they do that, they were hoping to do that this week. Once again, it's just shifting manpower to get it done. As soon as they can free up a couple of people, they will be setting that, and then we should have water. So I expect it in the next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Speed humps. Let's talk speed humps. The speed humps are in. We've got 3 speed humps in, one on North Main, one on South Main, one on East Grand Rondo. The feedback that I've received has been very positive. It has slowed things down. People have said it has slowed people down from not zooming past those areas, which is really good.
Commissioner Banks?
Yeah, I would like to address that myself, especially that one right there by the beach area, next to the beach. Commissioner Banks like to knock his car out of line right there.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was there.
Well, I got almost bucked off my Harley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is true. I find if you're sightseeing, if you're looking at the water, Commissioner Banks, or I was looking at something else and it surprised me, but it's okay if you're not going too fast. Right?
That's
Right,
the idea.
right. If you're not going too fast, not there, but it will wake you up if you're not. If you're
Yeah.
not
It's
paying
still,
attention to
yeah,
it. We all get caught for that.
I
What
can
else we
witness
got?
that.
Um,
So we had speed humps. We covered
Yep.
both. We already covered that. We covered that. Big question. Police
You got,
chief.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about it now so we can talk about it and say that I've started the process. I've talked to each one of you. I started the process, put an ad out. We're gonna for advertising for a new police chief. I've asked the county and I've asked the city of Palaca police chiefs to help me in when we start getting applications for a police chief, evaluating those, vetting them, and then hopefully we get a really good candidate. It's something that the board can look at and approve. I will be sending a memo out with the procedure of how I'm going to do that and how I'm proceeding with that. And then each time we'll go through one of the steps to getting a police chief.
Okay.
sound good to me.
Okay.
Do we know, backing up a little bit with the paving, gosh, it seems like, what a slow process.
It is a slow process, yes.
You know, we could do a special meeting with the two bids if that would speed things up a couple of weeks, to just approve
Oh,
the two bids.
we can definitely do that.
Unless both of them would be, are busy doing other things, and it would take a little bit of time anyway. So, you know, before they got to us, but if they
Actually-
can get together, if they could come down and start almost immediately, I think we could do a special meeting, and approve, one of the contractors.
We can, well, once again, the contractor's already been set. That's through DOT. This is for the engineering and inspection services.
Oh, okay. Okay. The engineering.
Just like, okay, so like we have the last thing that I actually had on my notes was the sidewalk project. And that's, the sidewalk project also has what they call CEI company that does the inspection services that oversees what the contractor's doing. So that's where we came in and we have to approve that. This
Okay.
project is, the end of the project is 2021. So, and that's, I believe it's, I forgot what it is, but I want to say it's like a 4-month project. It's not even that long. So we wouldn't have to do a special meeting just to rush to get the CEI services approved. The sidewalk project, I'll touch on that. They're really, other than working on some punch list items we have given them. They are waiting on a part. We have some crossing flashing beacons that are at the north and south end of the project that have been part of this project. Somebody had said to me that was added recently. No, that's always been part of the project. It's part of what DOT does for safety reasons. And they're just waiting for a part because I think one of them wasn't working. So other than that, and we have not given them substantial completion. Once we make sure that all our punch list items are taken care of, then we'll do that and it'll be done.
Okay.
Good job.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all I had.
And Michael, and thank you for those 2 pine trees down on the corner.
Oh, yes, the pine tree. You're
I'm
welcome.
glad to see them laying down,
Right.
just standing up.
Okay.
Okay.
That's your report.
Yes.
And I don't know if Mr. Asbury has any update for us as far as the properties or not. Maybe not.
The only thing I would bring to the commission's attention is one of the properties that I felt like may work out financially for the city was that, I believe it was 40 Grand Rondo down on Lake Stella. I got a certified registered letter that you have to sign 8 different places for last week from the county. And that was one of the properties involved in the mailing that it's going up for a tax deed. And the back taxes, just to pay the back taxes, was something like $4,400. But so it looks like that property is going to be sold on the auction block to the highest bidder. The one good thing for the city in this is, even though I'm sure the city doesn't want to pay the $4,400 in back taxes and then pay the legal fees to get that property, would be whoever buys that property, that property will be subject to our code enforcement lien. So we're not going to lose out on that all the way around.
Are there already liens on that property?
No, I think that was pretty clear. I think that was clean.
Okay. Is that on East or West Grand Rondo?
It's, I don't know what you call east or west, but it's on this side, on the east side of the lake.
Okay. Okay. I'll have to look for that.
It's almost, Jay, it's close to Central Avenue, correct?
It's just right around the corner there.
I think it's between Central and Florida.
Right, so
Yes,
it's
yeah, right.
the easternmost part of Grand Rondo, but doesn't 40 Grand Rondo, there was another property in your list that was
Yeah.
adjacent to that, correct?
Yes,
So what you're saying is those two properties are going to be kind of separated
correct.
ownership, because the one that's adjacent is not going to be sold for tax deed.
That's correct. The 40 Grand Rondo is the one that's up.
Right, so in a way, that's kind of bad, because that was together, they made a nice property, but oh well. Okay.
I didn't have anything else, Mayor, unless you
Okay.
have something.
No,
Oh,
that's
excuse me, one
yes,
thing.
sir.
To speak to Commissioner West's concern, and I believe Commissioner DeVito also had a concern about the magistrate ordinance being passed too quickly without citizen input. Remember, the first reading is only that. It doesn't, so whenever that first reading is, the commission still has another meeting to go before it's can be finally passed. And here again, I'm not advocating for that ordinance at all. I mean, that's totally up to the commission. But I just wanted to remind us that you've got two meetings in any event. So you're not going to have a public workshop with the people and then immediately turn around and have to vote yes or no,
Right.
and are stuck with it. You still got another month. That's all I've got.
Yeah. Ideally, I'm thinking, first reading, second reading, you want to have it pretty cleaned up, all the discussion and questions answered
Oh, yes.
by the time you approve the first reading. So the
Yes.
second reading is almost a formality.
Right.
There shouldn't
And
be.
I think whoever had the idea, I think all of y'all agreed that having the public be able to participate in the conversation is
Right.
a good idea.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. As far as city departments, you have in your packet the police report and also the code enforcement report. Is there any questions on that?
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
I was hoping that Chad would be here. As I understand it, Sergeant Ward is our ranking law enforcement officer. Is that correct, Michael?
He is the sergeant that we have right now. Yes. But as far as the report goes, and we don't have a police chief, we were just giving you the report right now.
Right, because we have had a significant theft on 17. I'm sure you've heard about it.
Yes, I did hear about it.
Right, and
Well, after the fact, and once again, a lot of these things that they're investigating, they'll continue to investigate.
right, because I would really like to have
We
an
had one in my neighborhood last night too.
Okay. Well, that's something that we're going to look at. I didn't hear about that one, but
Right.
we'll talk about that. Other than that, we really didn't have anything significant go on.
well, there was quite a bit of valuable equipment, and tire store was broken into. And, as I've said before in meetings, the commercial areas just keep getting hit periodically over and over again, and they're very adjacent to the residential areas. So it's very concerning. I would really have liked to have heard from Chad kind of a status update on that.
Well, our one-man crime wave had, I think, 17 warrants, and I think he was picked up, and he may be out again. But anyway, that our police department picked him up, and hopefully we're on
But
top
the
of that.
officer that was investigating last night over this way was saying that this person is not that same person.
Yeah.
And he is stealing all over the town, but he's trying to sell it back in the town. So they have a name. They're waiting for the sheriff's department to get a warrant to go visit this person.
So they actually know where he lives?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah, because they have a name, but that's not for sure, of course. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
So that and the code enforcement printout that you guys have, if we have no other comments on that, we can go to city commission comments.
I'd like to talk about something, if I can just give you a couple minutes, please.
Commissioner West.
Talking about the mulching around the heritage oaks in the park and whatever. I have a lot of mulch in my yard, and it's something that has to be weeded constantly. And right now it's bad because I haven't been able to get out to it. But the point is, you don't just put it down and it just be. It's having to be weeded every couple of weeks. Those weeds are, I don't care how thick it is, they love it. Also, if you don't border it with something, concrete blocks, railroad ties, whatever, when it rains, it moves. Also, if you're mowing around it, if you touch it, it throws it all over the place. If you weed eat around it, it gets thrown off. I'm just saying, let's really consider maybe not mulching those trees, and during catfish or whatever, maybe roping them off around so that you can't drive over them. And absolutely no driving in the park. A couple weeks ago, there was a birthday party uptown, and they had driven the car right up to the picnic table. And I was talking to Mike about this, and he said that they've already been discussing how to make a green fence, I guess, on each side so that you couldn't get into the park.
Right.
I don't know, but we've got to find a way for people not to be able to drive in the park. And this includes, of course, catfish. And I know they need to, but maybe they can find a way to, if we rope off under those trees somehow, that they can't get to them.
Mayor,
Yes. Commissioner Banks, please.
I think we need to have one little avenue, so when we do have something out in the park, so we could have something out in the park, that the people would have to bring stuff for the to be in the up under the
Gazebo?
have right of way there. I really think, cause some of that musician stuff is heavy.
Yep. They've got to have a way to get there.
If they approach the west side of the park, that sidewalk is wide enough for them to drive, isn't it? Is it structurally good enough to drive on, though?
I think that they could drive on it, but I'm kind of like you, Commissioner West. I don't seen people come across the grass on the
Yeah.
side on the side over there by the funeral home, and that's uncalled for now.
I agree with you. That's where I've seen them.
Well, Commissioner DeVito has something.
I do. Yeah. As you know, I live right across from Eagle Lions Park, and I probably get a better look at it than most people. And I've been concerned about the driving in the park for years. It's a liability issue because I've seen people driving in the park at dark, like Commissioner Banks said, going across the grass and whatnot. that's just a liability issue. The next thing is the driving. If you're driving on the grass during a festival or whatever, yes, that greatly contributes to the soil compaction that is affecting the heritage trees. And I would like to speak a little bit more to that next time. But I think eliminating that driving in the park is a big first step. And I remember when Therese Biggs was working for the city, you know, she used to work for the Florida State Fair. And I believe for most things, she had people using carts as opposed to actually driving their car. So I think there's something we could work out. Obviously, you can't have people killing themselves. But I've seen people drive in, set up barbecue grill. I've seen everything. And I think,
Sure you have.
I mean, I really have seen everything.
I know you have.
Well, you know, when we do catfish, all those picnic tables are towed in. All those tents are towed in.
Right.
Right.
So there's going to be driving, at least on some degree, every year. You know, so
And
you can minimize it, but there will be some.
Right.
Well,
But I think we could rope off the area under those heritage trees that won't be affected, because there's plenty of other places for catfish to set up using the areas that aren't under those trees, perhaps. I'm just thinking we could work that out.
Yeah, I'm pretty, Mayor. I'm pretty sure that we can work that out, because I have seen people come in and way of speaking, they come right in front of Commissioner Vito's house.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the little avenue is, right there.
right, they just turn in and drive up the sidewalk, and that
Right.
is really not good. They're going right past the play area. But unfortunately, the driving in the park with catfish has really increased after Miss Biggs left. Kind of things, you know, just got a little more free. And I think when the public sees that, they think it is allowed, and they drive all over too. So,
I agree with that. Yeah.
and it's just dangerous, and it's not good for anything. All you need is a little kid to run out from the play area, and well, that's just not good. And the grass is not good. I mean, it doesn't do the grass any good either. So the whole thing is just bad. I do have continuing concerns about the heritage oaks. The damage that was noted in the arborist report is still there. I think it might be a good idea to get an arborist to come talk to us. But I'm fine with no driving in the park. I think that's super.
And we'll look at that. Like I said, I've had ongoing talks with Public Works to try to get some ways to mitigate that, have nobody driving in the park. And if you have to drive or get a little cart, maybe we can find a path or what's it doesn't affect anything. So we'll look at that.
Right. And
it's not just this park. We've got parks, the park in Lake Stella. You know, every once in a while we get somebody do donuts on there. That's a concern of mine. It's a concern of Public Works, setting ruts and things like that. So.
And well, I'll wait till my time, because I really got something. You talking about driving in parks? I just use my time now, if it's all right, Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Golf carts on the beach. Now, I done passed by there, and I done seen 3 or 4 golf carts on the beach.
On that fenced-in area at the, okay.
Somehow they come inside the fence. They almost got them in the water. And, you know, I said, no, I ain't gonna say nothing. And lo and behold, there go 2 great big dogs. And I know a sign up that say no dogs. Couldn't find out the dog was reared in on the golf cart.
I'm sorry.
Well, for the record, it wasn't me and my dogs this time.
It wasn't, man, it wasn't you. I really don't.
Dogs driving on golf carts? Is that what it was?
Well, I had my 3 dogs out yesterday on the cart.
Do we need to put up a sign, no golf carts or any other vehicles?
The other thing is we have an access gate there that they keep either breaking or cutting the lock. It's something that we're looking at. I'm trying to find a solution to keep them off there with a sign. So
Yeah,
And my other, if I can finish
Yes.
my time, and I'll
Yes,
be through
finish your
for
point.
I'll be through for the night. And the other is still the park. What can we do to keep those vultures from swarming around? That's unsanitary.
Yeah. And
to keep the what?
The vultures.
Oh, right, they're
And
everywhere.
they are protected, by the way. Or else
Right,
I
Yeah.
take care of it myself. Commissioner
Right.
DeVito?
yes, I'm glad Commissioner Banks mentioned the vultures because this really concerned me. There were about 50 of them at the Lake Stella Beach, and they were literally in the water.
Yes.
yes,
The whole lake
yes.
as a bird
They're
bath,
nasty birds.
which is very concerning. And honestly, I don't know what you do. The only thing that seems to scare them away, friends of mine have told me, are loud noises. But I mean, I don't know, can we get an air horn or whatever? But we can't. It is very hard to police a park from vultures because I just happen to be there.
How about if we had dogs and golf carts?
oh,
Well, if you had dogs, the dogs don't do the water quality any good either. But I really think that our vulture problem partly is a garbage problem. That is a potential.
It is a garbage problem, Commissioner. You're actually right. The people either dropping garbage or not picking it up. And I know that when people enjoy the park and they use the park and say they have a barbecue or they cook or they bring their food, they put it and then they dump it in the receptacle. And if it doesn't fit, they just kind of put it on the side. And that's where the birds grab
That's
it
when
and
the birds
kick
find
it all
it.
over the
Yep.
place. So that's part of the problem. It's part of education, telling the people that, they should be trying to take their trash with them. That would cut down significantly on it.
But I mean, it's a garbage problem for the whole city.
Oh, definitely.
When we have open, when people put just bags out, whatever, the birds are attracted to the city. So I mean, that it's a problem.
Yep.
And I had forgotten about that. So thank you.
With all the, speaking of the parks, and I was just talking to Chris about it, driving around town. Part of it is the rain we've gotten, but the guys have stayed on top of the mowing, and how great our parks, all of the parks look. They look fantastic. So kudos to the guys who stay on top of that. It's a monumental job. Once you finish, you got to go back and start again. So
I agree.
we're
They keep it
shorthanded.
Really nice.
We're shorthanded with those guys, and whenever I see them, they're busy. So boy, big kudos out for them. The parks look fantastic.
Yes,
Yeah, they're doing a good job.
Yes, they do. And thank you for your kind words. My staff really appreciates it.
Mhm.
All right. Anyone else have any comments, commissioners? Okay. Hearing none, this meeting is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.